Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the immune system.
Yes.
Specifically, these fascinating molecules called MHC Class I and Class II.
Right.
You know, they're so crucial for how our bodies recognize and fight off threats.
Absolutely.
Which is relevant to so much, from vaccines to autoimmune diseases to even cancer research.
Absolutely.
And think of them kind of like these cellular ID cards
Okay.
that help our immune system distinguish friend from foe.
What's really intriguing is how these molecules act as gatekeepers,
Well,
determining what triggers an immune response.
so they decide.
They essentially decide which elements are recognized as dangerous
Got it.
and which ones get a pass.
I'm hooked already.
What is
So
it?
MHC stands for Major Histocompatibility Complex.
Yes.
Can you break down what these MHC molecules are and why they're so important?
Absolutely. MHC molecules are specialized proteins found on the surface of our cells, and they're absolutely essential
Okay.
for our adaptive immune system.
So the part that learns and remembers.
That's it. That learns and remembers specific threats,
Okay.
enabling a targeted response.
Got it.
Without MHC molecules, our bodies wouldn't be able to mount such a sophisticated defense.
So we've got these two main types, MHC Class I and MHC Class II.
Yes.
And I understand they have distinct roles.
Yes, they do.
What's the breakdown?
So let's start with MHC class.
Okay.
Imagine them as vigilant bodyguards,
Okay.
constantly patrolling your cells.
All right.
They exist on nearly every cell in your body
Okay.
that has a nucleus,
Okay.
which is most of them.
So not red blood cells then, right?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Because they don't have nuclei.
Got it.
MHC class I focuses on what's happening inside your cells.
Okay.
For instance, let's say a cell gets infected with a virus
Uh-huh.
or undergoes cancerous changes.
Right.
These MHC class I molecules capture fragments of those abnormal proteins.
From within the cell.
Yes, from within the cell,
Right.
and display them on the cell surface.
So it's like raising a red flag.
Yeah.
Signaling that something's wrong.
Precisely. This signal alerts the immune system's killer T cells,
Okay.
or cytotoxic T cells.
Yeah, right.
These T cells have receptors that specifically recognize MHC class I molecules.
Okay.
And when they spot something amiss being presented, they initiate a targeted attack
Oh, wow.
to eliminate the infected or compromised cell.
So high stakes.
High stakes indeed.
A cellular show and tell
Exactly.
with life or death consequences.
That's right.
Now, I know these MHC molecules have a unique structure.
They do.
What can you tell us about that?
Great question. Structure dictates function, right?
Right.
An MHC class I molecule is made up of two parts.
Okay.
A larger alpha chain
Okay.
and a smaller protein called beta-2 microglobulin.
Okay.
They form a platform with a groove on top.
All right.
And the groove is the peptide-binding groove.
Okay.
It's where those antigen fragments or peptides are displayed
Okay.
for inspection by the T cells.
I was reading that the groove is closed at both ends. Does that limit what it can present?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
This structural feature means MHC class I molecules typically bind and present peptides
Okay.
that are shorter, around 8 to 10 amino acids long.
Wow.
This entire process of loading the peptides
Yeah.
happens within a compartment in the cell called the endoplasmic reticulum,
Oh,
or ER.
all right.
You can think of the ER as a kind of cellular workshop
Okay.
where proteins are folded and assembled.
Got it. So we've got our dedicated security force, MHC Class I,
Yes.
on constant lookout for internal threats.
That's right.
Now let's turn to MHC Class II.
Okay.
How do these molecules fit into this intricate system?
So MHC class II molecules operate more like intelligence officers.
Okay.
They have a vital role in gathering information about potential external threats.
All right.
Unlike MHC class I, which is ubiquitous,
Okay.
MHC class II is only found on specialized cells called antigen-presenting cells, or APCs.
Got it.
So these APCs act like scouts for the immune system.
They go out, encounter invaders, and gather intel.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Dendritic cells, macrophages, and B cells are all examples of APCs.
All right.
Their specialty is engulfing foreign invaders,
Okay.
breaking them down,
Uh-huh.
and then presenting fragments of these invaders on MHC class II molecules.
So they're essentially putting pieces of the enemy on display
Exactly.
to alert the rest of the immune system.
But unlike MHC class I, which triggers killer T cells directly,
Okay.
MHC class II interacts with a different type of T cell known as helper T cells.
Helper T cells, I remember reading that they're like the generals of the immune system.
That's a great analogy.
They don't directly engage in combat,
Right.
but rather orchestrate a larger coordinated response.
That's precisely right.
Okay.
Instead of killing infected cells directly,
Yeah.
helper T cells release signaling molecules.
Okay.
These signals activate other immune cells,
Right.
like B cells to produce antibodies,
Okay.
or macrophages to become more aggressive in destroying pathogens.
Wow.
It's a much broader, more strategic immune response.
So, MHC Class I handles internal threats and activates killer T cells for a direct attack,
That's right.
while MHC Class II focuses on external threats and rallies helper T cells to coordinate a more widespread immune response.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how these two classes work together to protect us from such a diverse array of threats.
It is.
But I'm curious, what happens if MHC presentation goes awry? What are the implications?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of why understanding MHC is so crucial for medicine.
Okay.
Because these molecules are central to immune recognition.
Right.
Any problems with their function can have serious consequences for our health.
Okay.
For example, did you know that certain autoimmune diseases are linked to issues with MHC presentation?
So in those cases, it's like the intelligence officer accidentally flags a friendly unit as hostile.
You got it. It's a case of mistaken identity
Right.
in conditions like type 1 diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
The immune system misidentifies certain proteins in your own body as foreign. This leads to an immune attack on those tissues.
Oh, wow.
MHC molecules are involved in presenting those self-antigens to the immune system,
Okay.
triggering the attack.
That's a sobering thought. And what about organ transplantation?
Yes,
I've heard MHC compatibility plays a huge role there.
it does.
Why is that?
MHC molecules are incredibly diverse,
Okay.
varying significantly from person to person.
Right.
They're almost like a fingerprint for your cells.
Wow.
When someone receives a transplant, their immune system can recognize the donor organ's MHC molecules as foreign and attempt to reject the organ.
So finding a donor with a close MHC match is critical to minimize the risk of rejection.
That's right. The closer the match between the donor and recipient's MHC molecules,
Okay.
the less likely the recipient's immune system is to attack the transplanted organ.
Got it.
We can dive more into the nuances of transplantation later,
Yeah.
but this just highlights how crucial MHC molecules are in medicine.
This is also fascinating. We've covered a lot of ground already. And it's amazing to see how these MHC molecules, these tiny cellular ID cards, have such a profound impact on our health and well-being.
Absolutely.
I'm really starting to grasp the complexity and importance of these molecules.
And we're just scratching the surface. There's so much more to explore.
Oh, really?
In fact, did you know that the length of the peptides presented by MHC Class I and Class II actually plays a key role in their function?
Oh, okay.
Let's dive into the structural differences next.
That's what I love about these deep dives. Always learning something new. Okay, I'm ready to compare and contrast these cellular ID cards in more detail.
Great. You mentioned the peptide length difference.
Yeah.
That's not just a random fact.
Okay.
It's directly tied to how each MHC class works.
Okay.
Think about it, MHC Class I.
Yeah.
Our cellular bodyguard
Right.
is dealing with threats that originate inside the cell.
Uh-huh.
Those threats are often going to be chopped up into smaller pieces by the cell's own machinery.
Ah, so the shorter peptides are a reflection of the way those internal threats are processed.
Exactly. MHC Class I is designed to bind and present these shorter fragments.
Okay.
But MHC Class II is different.
Right.
Remember, it's presenting antigens that the APCs have engulfed from outside the cell.
Right.
These external invaders are often larger and more complex.
Which is why MHC Class II needs a more open binding groove to accommodate those longer peptide fragments.
Precisely. It's all about structural adaptation to function.
Okay.
Let's break it down even further.
Okay.
MHC Class I, with its closed groove,
Right.
typically presents peptides between 8 and 10 amino acids long.
Wow.
MHC Class II, on the other hand,
Okay.
with its open groove,
Yeah.
can handle peptides from 13 to even 25 amino acids in length.
Wow.
It's a significant difference.
So it's like MHC Class I is presenting a concise ID badge,
Okay.
while MHC Class II is showing a more detailed mugshot,
I like that.
providing more information about the potential threat.
That's a great analogy. And there's another fascinating aspect to this,
Okay.
where the peptides are loaded onto the MHC molecule.
Okay.
Also varies between the two classes.
Wait, so it's not all happening in the endoplasmic reticulum?
Good catch.
Okay.
With MHC Class II, the peptide loading takes place in specialized compartments called endosomes.
Endosomes.
These endosomes are essentially the cell's recycling centers.
Oh, okay.
They're where material engulfed from outside the cell gets broken down and sorted.
That makes sense. If MHC Class II is dealing with external threats that have been engulfed,
Yes.
the peptides would need to be loaded in a compartment involved in processing that external material.
Exactly. It's a beautiful example of how form follows function in biology.
Right.
Every detail is intricately connected.
Okay. I think I'm getting the big picture here.
Great.
MHC Class I. Internal threats, shorter peptides, closed binding groove, loading in the ER, activates killer T cells.
Yep.
MHC Class II. External threats, longer peptides, open binding groove, loading in endosomes, activates helper T cells.
You got it.
Wow. That's a lot to remember.
It is a lot, but the more you delve into it,
Yeah.
the more these connections become clear. It's like solving a puzzle.
Right.
And this understanding of MHC is crucial.
Yeah.
Because it underpins so much of what we know about the immune system
Right.
and its role in health and disease.
You mentioned diseases earlier.
Yes,
Can we talk more about the clinical significance of MHC molecules?
absolutely. We've already touched on autoimmune diseases and transplantation,
Right.
but MHC molecules are also implicated in cancer
Oh, wow.
and even vaccine development.
That's right. You mentioned that some cancer cells try to evade the immune system
Yeah.
by down-regulating MHC class I expression.
Exactly.
So they're essentially trying to hide from those killer T cells.
Precisely. It's a stealth tactic
Wow.
used by some tumors to avoid detection and destruction.
Okay.
And this understanding of MHC is driving new cancer therapies.
Oh, wow.
Scientists are working on ways to counteract this downregulation, essentially forcing the cancer cells to reveal themselves to the immune system.
So it's like we're boosting the immune system surveillance.
Yes.
By making those cancer cells more visible to the killer T cells.
Exactly. It's a really promising area of research called cancer immunotherapy.
Okay.
The goal is to harness the power of the immune system
Yeah.
to specifically target and destroy cancer cells.
This is fascinating. It's like a high-tech game of hide and seek
It is.
with MHC molecules playing a pivotal role.
They are essential.
And then there's the role of MHC in vaccines.
Yes.
Vaccines work by training our immune system to recognize and fight off specific pathogens.
Right.
But did you know that effective vaccines actually rely on antigens being presented by MHC molecules?
That's right. The vaccine essentially introduces a harmless version of the pathogen,
Okay.
or even just fragments of it.
Right.
Those antigens are taken up by antigen-presenting cells
Yeah.
and displayed on MHC molecules, which then trigger an immune response.
So this initial encounter with the antigen presented by MHC molecules primes the immune system.
Exactly.
It leads to the production of antibodies and memory cells.
Yes.
So that when the real pathogen shows up,
Yes.
the immune system is ready to mount a rapid and targeted defense.
That's how it works.
It's amazing how these MHC molecules are involved in so many aspects of immunity.
They are fascinating.
From recognizing threats to coordinating a response to even remembering past encounters.
Yes.
It's clear that understanding MHC is key to unlocking new therapies for a wide range of diseases.
Absolutely. It really highlights the intricate and interconnected nature of the immune system.
Right.
And what's even more remarkable
Yeah.
is that each of us carries a unique set of MHC molecules. It's almost like a molecular fingerprint.
Wow.
This diversity is crucial for our species' survival.
Wait, so our MHC molecules are unique?
They are.
What are the implications of that? You said our MHC molecules are unique like a fingerprint.
Yeah.
What are the implications of that?
Well, this diversity is what allows our species to adapt and survive
Okay.
in a world full of constantly evolving pathogens.
Okay.
Think about it. If we all had the same MHC molecules,
Yeah.
a single pathogen that could evade those molecules
Right.
could potentially wipe us all out.
So it's like having a diverse immune system arsenal
Yes.
across the population acts as a buffer against emerging diseases.
Exactly. It's a fascinating concept called herd immunity.
Right.
But at a deeper genetic level, the more variation there is in our MHC molecules,
Yeah.
the less likely it is that a single pathogen will be able to outsmart all of our immune systems.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like diversifying our defenses on a population level.
Exactly.
Speaking of diversity, you mentioned that MHC molecules are also involved in mate selection.
I did.
How does that work?
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Research suggests that we're actually subconsciously attracted to individuals with different MHC molecules than our own.
Wait, so our immune systems are influencing who we find attractive?
It seems that way.
Wow.
The theory is that by choosing mates with different MHC profiles,
Yeah.
we increase the chances of our offspring
Okay.
inheriting a more diverse set of MHC molecules.
Right.
This gives them a broader immune defense,
Got it.
making them more resilient to a wider range of pathogens.
That's incredible. I never would have guessed that something as seemingly unrelated as mate choice
Right.
could be tied to immune system diversity.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that MHC molecules are linked to our sense of smell.
Yes.
Is there any truth to that?
There's growing evidence to suggest a connection.
Okay.
Studies have shown that we can actually detect differences in MHC molecules through our sense of smell.
Really?
And this might play a role in that subconscious attraction we were just talking about.
Wow.
Essentially, we might be smelling our way to a more diverse immune system for our offspring.
This is blowing my mind. Who knew that these tiny molecules could have such far-reaching effects?
They're fascinating, aren't they?
From shaping our immune response to influencing our mate choices and even our sense of smell.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's incredible.
It really is a testament to the complexity and interconnectedness of biology.
Right.
And we're still unraveling the mysteries of MHC molecules.
Yeah.
There's so much more to learn.
Well, this has been a truly enlightening deep dive. We've gone from understanding the basic structure and function of MHC molecules to exploring their role in diseases, transplantation, vaccines, and even mate selection.
It's amazing.
And it all underscores the vital role these molecules play in keeping us healthy
Absolutely.
and driving the evolution of our species.
That's right.
Before we wrap up, is there any final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yes, I think it's important to remember that even though these molecules are microscopic,
Right.
they have a macroscopic impact on our lives.
Yeah.
They're a constant reminder that we're intricately connected to the world around us.
Mm.
From the pathogens we encounter to the people we choose to spend our lives with.
That's beautifully put. So to our listeners, the next time you think about your immune system, remember those MHC molecules?
Yeah.
Those cellular ID cards that are working tirelessly to keep you safe?
Working hard?
And maybe, just maybe, you'll be inspired to delve even deeper into the fascinating world of immunology.
I hope so.
Well, a huge thank you to our expert for sharing their incredible insights today.
My pleasure.
I know I've learned a ton, and I hope our listeners have too.
Me too.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.